नमस्कार दोस्तों, फ्लेक्सी स्ट्रॉन्ग टॉक्स के आज के एपिसोड में आपका जोरदार स्वागत है। आई एम योर होस्ट लोकेश नथानी, wishing you all a very happy and healthy life. Our very special guest this evening is Dr. Shumayou Dutta. Dr. Shumayou is MS Orthopedics, FASSI Spine, MBBS and Spine Surgeon. He is a consultant spine surgeon with a leading hospital in Kolkata. He is recognized world over for his new age approach to spine and neck disorders. He has worked with some of the top spine institutions across the world. He is one of the rare surgeons who believes that surgery should be the last option in life. Over to you, doctor.
A very good evening to the entire Shyam Steel family and to everyone who's joined us today. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Now I want you to get comfortable and cozy in your chair before we start our session today, because today we are going to discuss several things from health, fitness, back pain, neck pain, and many, many more things. Now, I'm going to start by asking you a few questions, and I want you to reflect whether these apply to you or not. Do you get breathless when you climb up a couple of flights of stairs? Do you suffer from back pain, neck pain, or chronic muscle pains, joint pains? Do you have difficulty in falling asleep? Or do you have migraine? Or do you suffer from chronic conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, hypothyroidism, obesity? If you do suffer from any of these, you are actually suffering from what is called as lifestyle diseases. Now, lifestyle diseases are a set of conditions that result from poor lifestyle choices. So what are these conditions? These could be anything from just chronic pains like back pain, neck pain, to diabetes, hypertension, thyroidism, obesity, to more sinister conditions like heart attacks and colon cancer and breast cancer. You'd be surprised to know that these are the number one cause of premature deaths nowadays. But surely your lifestyle isn't poor, right? I want you to just think about it. Is your lifestyle poor? Surely it isn't. If you're struggling to answer this, allow me to help you out. I'll ask you two simple questions, and if the answer to any of them is yes, then yes, you are suffering, you do have a poor lifestyle, and you may be suffering from any of these lifestyle diseases. Firstly, do you sit for more than 9 hours a day? And secondly, do you have a sitting job? If the answer to them, any of them, is a yes, then I'm afraid your lifestyle is poor already. Now, the reason I ask about sitting is because sitting is the primary driver for poor lifestyle and all these non-communicable diseases that we spoke about. Just stop right there. Observe, how are you sitting? Don't move. Observe, how are you sitting? Are you sitting like this? Are you slouched out like that? Are you bent over? Is your spine in a C shape? The problem is that we sit too much and we don't even sit correctly. And it's no surprise that today sitting is called the new smoking. Yes, if you sit for more than 9 hours a day, it doesn't matter what you do after that. You may be up and about and doing exercises and going for a swim, jog. You cannot undo what just happened in those 9 hours. So today I'll be talking to you about two things. What happens to the spine locally when you sit? So the local effects of sitting on the back and the neck. And the second thing that I will talk to you about is what happens to the whole body when you sit for too long. So to understand, let's begin with the spine. The spine has several blocks, one on top of each other, and these are called the vertebrae. And between two vertebrae, you have what is a disc. Like your car has a suspension mechanism, a spring suspension mechanism, that's how our body has these discs. These discs are hard outside, like the tire of a car, and a tire has air inside, but our discs have gel inside. Now it is this gelatinous disc that allows us to move. I can move my neck up and down, rotate side to side, move my pelvis up around, and I can do all of that because I have functioning discs. Now, back pain and neck pain most often result from these discs losing their elasticity, losing their fluidity, becoming hard rather than being soft and gelatinous. So let's take a look at what happens to the disc in different postures that you adopt throughout your day. So here on this slide, you can see on the left hand most corner, you can see on lying down, the disc is only under 25% of its pressure that it can take. So that's why when you have back pain, if you lie down, it feels better because the pressure is offloaded on the disc. When you're standing, like I'm standing right now, straight, the pressure on the disc is 100, which means it is maximally loaded to its peak capacity. Now see what happens on the right hand side of the table. When you're sitting and you're working on your laptop, crouched down in front, and your center of gravity is moving in front, then the pressure on the disc is 300% its maximum capacity. You are loading the disc 3 times the pressure that it can take. What do you think is happening when you put this abnormal pressure on the disc? It's very simple. It starts losing its gelatinous structure and it starts becoming hard. And once the disc loses it, it can never come back. So the real question comes is, what should you do? Where do you start? And how do you even start? Because we have to face the truth. We will be sitting for most of our days. Our jobs require us to sit. So how do we navigate through this life while sitting, doing the least damage to our bodies? Today, one of the promises I had made when I was going to give this talk is that I wanted it to be actionable. So I am going to give you certain action points that you should inculcate in your lifestyle. Do it every day so that you can reap the most benefits. If not, then what is the point of all of this? So the first thing I want you to do is sit up straight. This should come to us instinctively. We should sit straight, but over the years, as we get more and more comfortable in getting more slouched and using the laptop like that, we lose the ability to sit straight and we start feeling this slouched over behavior as a normal behavior. The body adapts. This is what your sitting posture should look like. You should be sitting with your back straight, deep in the chair. Your buttock should be deep in the chair. If it isn't, please do it right now. This is the best time to adjust it, to understand what is the right. Especially when I'm here with you. Get your buttock deep into the seat. Use the back support. Lean back a little bit. Make sure that your thighs are parallel to the floor. Make sure you get a chair which has armrests so that your arms are parallel to the floor and your neck is nicely offloaded and you're working like that, very comfortable in a body which is neutral in posture. You can also raise the screen up so that it comes to the eye level. Now, a lot of you all are working on laptops and it's very difficult to raise the laptop up because then your hands go up. So I suggest you put some books under the laptop so that the level is up and you use a Bluetooth keyboard which is at a lower level, which is much more comfortable. And that is how you save your spine. The second thing I want you to do is very simple. Set up an alert on your phone or on the desktop or on the laptop that gives you a buzz every hour. Just get up. How difficult is it? I'm asking you to do very core, simplistic things. Just get up and sit down. You don't have to go for a walk. You don't have to go and get a cup of water. You don't have to go to the washroom. Just sit up. Stand, work for 10 seconds standing up and sit down again. Every 30 seconds, that one break that you take allows the spine to remember what comes naturally normal. And the final thing that I want you to do is what I call as desk yoga. Now I want you to join me in doing all of this. Since I'm here with you, don't feel shy, don't feel embarrassed about who's with you, who's around you. The reason you're watching this today is because you have pain and you want to make a difference in your life. And when's a better time to start than right now? So let's do this together. The first thing I want you to do is, I'll turn to the side and I want you to rotate your shoulders back and allow the neck muscles to fall back and feel relaxed. The second thing I want you to do is put your hands on your hip and just stretch out your pelvis a little bit. Get some mobility into the hips. They're crying from sitting the whole day. They need to move. Get some movement in. Don't feel shy about this. You're doing this for your own health. And if you are sitting on a chair that has a back support that ends right here in the middle, then you can use that to stretch back. Now, as you see, the problem is that when we are sitting, we are putting our spine into a C shape. And all these exercises, all these postural breaks and exercises and small tips and tricks that I'm giving you is with the intent of allowing your spine to straighten up again. Now you'll be surprised that you have to sit. So voluntarily your spine goes into a C shape automatically. But most of you and most of us, and me included, voluntarily put our necks into the C shape, the very harmful and damaging C shape. And this is now normalized in society. This is called text neck syndrome. How often do you see someone just taking out their phone and that's it? They're down there, head at 90 degrees, and they're typing away. And it's so often and it's so common that this seems normal. You'll see someone driving a car, someone sitting on a cycle, and they have their heads down like that. And this causes severe stress on the muscles in the neck. This causes spasm of the neck muscles. It causes neck pain. It can cause tingling numbness in the hands. It can cause migraine headaches. Just today I had a young girl who came to me with a huge cervical disc, and she'll now need surgery. And the only explanation was her IT job. And in front of me, despite telling her that, listen, you have to stop flexing your neck like that and constantly keeping it down, she said, no, doc, don't worry about it. I've put my laptop up, I've done everything. But despite doing all of that, she took her phone out right in front of me and started checking something like that. It's not doing things. It's imbibing it in you, becoming aware of your posture. First thing you should do is lift your phone up, get it up, bring it to your eye level, use it like this. Don't bring your head down to your phone. Bring the phone up to your head. Save your spine. The next thing, I want you to stand up once more. You can thank me later for making you stand up so many times. I'm going to ask you to do some exercises with me to relieve the muscles of the neck. The first thing we do is we put our hands by our side, and I want you to just externally rotate them. Get them back as much as you can. I'll do it from the side. Get it back as much as you can. If you can't do this full range of movement, it means there are some muscular spasms and the joint mobility is reducing already. The second exercise you do is put your hands on your hips and bring it back. You'll feel all the muscles squeeze the muscles. You'll feel all the interscapular muscles squeezing, the blood flowing, and you'll feel really good. And the third exercise that I want you to do every morning when you wake up is just stand straight. Stand straight. Think of someone pulling your head up and gravity pulling your legs down and your body is being stretched out like an elastic band. Stand straight as you can. And hold this posture for 3 minutes. Put on a timer and hold it for 3 minutes. You'd be surprised at how fast the body adjusts back into what is actually normal. So just by doing these exercises, these simple tips and tricks, you can actually reclaim your spine back to what it used to be. Now these are what happens to the spine locally, the cervical spine and the neck. But now I want to talk to you about what happens globally to the body when we sit for too long. So think about it. The human body was never meant to sit. We were meant to be up and about. We were meant to be on our feet, running around. Why do you need to run? In the evolutionary tree, if you couldn't run and catch your own prey, you wouldn't get to feed yourself and your family. If you couldn't run away from preys who are chasing you, you wouldn't even be alive. So that is why we have 600 muscles and 300 joints, all of them interacting, managed by the brain to do just one thing, to allow you to move, to make you agile, to make you move faster. Yet, we have sacrificed it without even giving it a second thought. You would be surprised to know the data. The data shows that in just one generation, human beings are moving 50% lesser than one generation back. Yes, my parents walked more, they moved more, and I am doing half of what they used to do. And this may be due to convenience, this may be due to advances in transportation, whatever it is, we are moving lesser. And because we are moving lesser, a whole series of events have started in our body. I'll tell you what happens when we move. When we move, our muscles contract. It's the natural response to moving. So when your muscles contract, you squeeze blood vessels, and these then push the blood back to the heart and assist the heart in pumping. But when you don't move, all the pressure is on the heart. The heart has to then do everything. So the heart becomes weaker. When you don't move, the lungs become weaker. The brain also slowly becomes weaker. You can suffer from dementia. All these are triggered by not doing simple activities like moving. There's an enzyme called lipoprotein lipase, which is in the heart. This elevates when we move around and when we're active. Lipoprotein lipase breaks down fat cells which are moving through the heart and don't allow them to clog the heart vessels, which leads to a heart attack. But when you sit down for too long, lipoprotein lipase starts going down. And eventually it's low enough and these fat starts sitting down there. Then the muscles become weak, a condition that we call as sarcopenia. You've heard of osteoporosis, old ladies with brittle bones. But you'd be surprised to know that these old brittle bones are happening in young people nowadays because they don't move as much. And osteosarcopenia is going to become one of the biggest causes of disability in your lifetimes. Let's get up and let's start moving. Now, the one thing that you can do to start moving is, I'm sure you feel that you move enough, right? You definitely feel that, I don't know, maybe I move enough, maybe I don't. But how do you know whether you move enough or not? Unless you can measure it, you cannot improve on it. The only way to go about it is to objectify how much you move. So I suggest that everyone watching this, take out your smartphone, download an app that tracks your movement. That's it. You don't have to do anything. Observe how much you're walking over the next 1 week. How many steps do you get in per day? Do you get in 2,000 steps? Do you get in an abysmal 500 steps? I'll just tell you this right off the bat, that unless you get in 10,000 steps, you're not walking enough. You're not moving enough. And I'm not talking about exercise. Exercise is optional. But movement is our basic necessity. So you download the app, you take a look at it, you see how much you're moving. If you're moving, there's nothing to be shy about. If you're moving 500 steps, so be it. There's more room to improve. If you're moving 2,000, okay. Now you make an effort to improve your walking by 10% every single day. Every single day, you increase your number of steps. You move more. And slowly you'll see that you're reaching a place of 6,000-7,000 steps that you can get in naturally just by tweaking simple things in your life. And then it becomes very difficult to improve, to reach that 10,000. But a very interesting process begins, a process called as gamification, where you start searching for opportunities where you can walk more. Now, this is not because someone is telling you to do it. This happens as a natural response of trying to reach that goal of 10,000 steps. So you will search that, okay, today let me not take the elevator, let me just take the stairs. Let me just park the car a little bit further away so I can walk to my place. Let me play with the kids a little bit more, all with the intent to get in more steps. So we talked about sitting less, we talked about moving more. But this is the hierarchy of fitness. The bad news is that that is just class 1 and class 2 of school. You can't keep walking because you have to move from class 2 to class 3, 4, 5, right? So these two activities of sitting less and moving more is your basic necessity. It is not optional. You want to have a good quality of life in your old age, you want to play with your grandkids, you want to travel abroad where your kids are studying. The only way you're doing it is by accomplishing class 1 and class 2. But being healthy is so much more than injury prevention and sickness prevention, isn't it? Being healthy is about the ability to live your life to the maximum every single day. And to do that, you have to progress to class 3, 4, and 5. Class 3 involves exercise, mobility exercises, where you put your joints through stretchers. Yoga is a very good way of doing mobility exercises. Class 4 includes cardiovascular exercise, where your heart rate is between 110 and 120 and sustained over that period for over half an hour. And once you've accomplished all of this, then you go to the gym and you start strength training. Do you know what the problem is? Why is the fallout rate from the gym so high? It's because people don't know this. They go straight to the gym and they start picking up dumbbells and they start pumping their muscles. You can't go to class 5 unless you go to class 1, 2, 3, and 4. Can you? As a result of which, they try strength training for a few days. They're completely disoriented in the gym, not even knowing what to do, why they're there, and they just leave the gym. Start from the basics and let's work our way up. No pill can undo the harmful effects of sitting for too long and being inactive. You need to change, you need to take charge of your life, you need to take the onus of responsibility on yourself, and you need to incorporate these lifestyle changes. With that, I'll end my talk today and I'll join you at the question and answer session. But remember one thing, that life is movement and movement is life.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shumayou. That was really a wonderful insight in a short 15 to 20 minutes. If you can expand a little bit more about life is movement and movement is life.
Yeah, that's a very important question. See, through our evolution as human beings, we have evolved in a way where we need to move. We need to move, we need to be active, we need to run away from prey, we needed to hunt for our food at a point of time. Today, modern society has given us the convenience of not doing any of that. All you need is money and go to the bazaar and someone else has done it for you. But that has not made the body exempt from the need for this kind of movement. The body wants to move. The body needs to move and it is always searching for ways to move. Sitting down does more damage than anything else. I'll give you one example of how important movement is. Every bone that breaks will heal. Yet in the older age group, in the 70s, 80s, as soon as someone breaks a bone, we immediately say, let's go in for surgery and fix this. The reason is that if they stay in bed rest, they lose bone strength, they lose the ability to move their joints, they then can develop bed sores, respiratory issues, urinary issues. A whole sequence of events starts just by being on bed rest. So the whole goal of surgery is then to get them up and to get them out of bed. So life is all about movement. Don't take your movement for granted.
We live in an era of internet, e-commerce. So earlier, I remember we used to go to the shop to buy things. Now sitting at home, you can get things in less than 10 minutes. There are so many options available. And that has, brought a lot of convenience, but it has also restricted a lot of movement and pushed us to be on the chair because we just love ordering on the phone. How do we deal with this?
The only way to deal with this is to understand these kind of talks. That's one of the reasons why we have this session, right? So that you can understand the importance of movement and prioritize it. Now, movement came to us naturally when we had to go to the shop or when we had to hunt for our food, and now at least when we go to the supermarket to buy something. But now when we're sitting at home and we're ordering food in, we have sacrificed all of that. So it is not a natural part of our lifestyle anymore. This is the unfortunate truth of an advanced society. So now you have to become aware of it. You have to prioritize it over everything else. That listen, today I'm going to get in 10,000 steps a day. That is the least you can do. Get up in the morning, promise yourself that I'm going to get in 10,000 steps a day. Why do you want to get in 10,000 steps a day? The answer is very simple. Because you want to be around for your children when they grow up. You don't want to be that statistics of the person who died of a heart attack in their 40s. We talk about mortality a lot, as in the amount of death rates, because it's very easy to measure the death rate, but we don't talk about morbidity enough. That means modern science has actually expanded our life duration. But what about the quality of life? Is that extra years that you are getting, is that a high quality of life where you are enjoying it, where you are actually, you've worked your whole life and then you've retired and you are in that end phase of life. But is that a good time for you? That is what we don't look at. When you don't move in your 30s, 40s, 50s, the morbidity, the quality of life is affected significantly in your 60s, 70s and 80s.
So moving on, we have one question from Dr. Shumayou Dutta. What can new mothers or breastfeeding mothers do to stay fit? Because, most of the time they are sitting or taking care of the baby.
Yeah. So that's another very good question. Now, in Southeast Asia, in this belt of the world, mothers, as soon as they're pregnant, they're asked to lie down. They're not asked to exercise and be active. But the rest of the world, mothers are asked to be active and exercise right throughout their pregnancy up to the 3rd trimester. So first of all, if you're an expecting mother, I would like you to start moving around a little bit, start getting some exercise in, because it's very important. Secondly, as soon as the child is born, that's when the next part begins. See, all the child care activities are going to be forward bent. Whether you're changing diaper, whether you're feeding the child, everything is a bent activity where you're forward bending. And on the offset that you've gained weight and the hormones that change the body a little bit, the muscles become weak, this all damages the spine. So the first thing you can do is buy a breastfeeding pillow. So that's a breastfeeding pillow is a pillow that comes around your waist and you can hold the child on top. So you're not now going down to the child, you're holding the child higher, and feeding becomes much more easier and less strenuous on the back. The second thing is, as soon as your obstetrician clears you, you should start exercises. You have to make an effort to lose the weight. You have to make an effort to tone back the muscles. It is not going to happen on its own. It is not going to happen naturally. It has to be done through active effort. So that is what you should do. You should then ask your family to support you, give you half an hour of time that is for yourself. And in that half an hour, you can go out for a walk. You're child free. You go out for a walk. You go to the gym, do what you want. Now understand this, it's very easy for me to sit and preach this, but it is very difficult to actually have that conversation with your family that I need half an hour for myself where I'm going to exercise and keep myself strong. But that is where the challenge is, right? You need to sit and have that conversation. You need to say, you need to speak up that this is what modern science says, that we're not doing enough and we're suffering. And I don't want to be the person who suffers. I wish you all could help me, give me that half an hour. I don't want to do anything, I just want to go for a walk. I'm sure they'll understand.
Thank you so much. We have one more question. How does one select appropriate chair for sitting, which will help them in their posture? So is it just about how I sit? It's also got something to do with chair?
Yeah, very good question. Very good question and
This
very
is from
relevant.
Nikhil Gupta.
Very relevant question for today's talk, because today's talk was all about sitting as less as possible. All of that still applies. But since you are sitting, you want to sit in the most natural posture anyway. So you get ergonomic chairs in the market. Ergonomic chairs are basically chairs which have 5 prongs at the bottom so that it gives a good support. You want to position the chair. Ergonomic chairs allow you to position the height. So you want to position it so that your feet are touching the ground, your thighs are parallel to the floor. You want it to have an armrest so that your arms are in a neutral position. If it doesn't have an armrest, you may be hanging your shoulders, causing stress there and pulling your body in front. So you want to be straight, you want to have an armrest. And as I had said during the talk, you may even consider getting the screen up and getting a Bluetooth keyboard which you can keep lower and type, rather than moving up or it becoming very uncomfortable for you. So that's what you can do with the lifestyle changes. When it comes to chairs, there's a lot of research going on how can we create a chair which puts the spine in the most natural posture possible. Now, there's a lot of research going on. There are a lot of new gimmicky products that are also available that says it promises this and that. But I have seen through my practice and all my interactions with patients who've done this, who've tried everything possible, that the best way is to just get up every 30 minutes. It's simple, it's cost effective, it doesn't harm you, it doesn't harm your productivity, and over a long time, you'd be happy that you inculcated these changes.
Thank you so much. We have another question from Khurshid Bhatt. If one has cervical disc like C4, C5, what kind of exercise one can do?
Yeah, so if you have a cervical disc herniation, I assume that it's a herniation because we all have a cervical disc. So if you have a herniation and you don't want to aggravate the herniation, then, and you're a young person, then you have to understand maybe the herniation has happened because of chronically keeping your neck down and basically flexion. When you flex your head, you are causing compression in the front and the disc tends to push out at the back, and the nerves are at the back, and that causes the herniation. So the first thing you want to do is just stay straight, do everything we discussed today. You also want to make sure that you're not spending too much of your time flexed. Do extension exercises, but that's about it. The good part about cervical herniations is most of them just recover on their own. They don't need surgery, and most of the muscle pain that happens may not even be due to the disc herniation. That may just be an incidental finding.
Moving on, Avijit Das wants to know, how do we protect degeneration of bones, especially when you're 40 or more?
Yeah. So to understand, aging is a natural process. Now I'm going to talk about two things which are sort of similar, but they're actually different. I'm going to talk about aging and degeneration. So when we talk about aging, we assume the normal aging process, the normal process in which the hair becomes white, in which our skin becomes a little bit different as we age. That's aging. Now when we talk about degeneration, we're referring to an accelerated aging process, and that is then degeneration. So degeneration could be accelerated by the things you do. So coming back to your question, what can you do to prevent this degeneration? The simplest thing you can do is follow that pyramid. Start by increasing your activity, joint mobility, exercises. There is no reason why your muscles should become weaker if you're doing exercises. It's simply a matter of stimulus and effect. If you stimulate the body, then the body will reap these benefits. If you don't stimulate the body, it will start to degenerate.
Great. So Mr. Firdaus is asking, he works on his laptop in sitting posture and change his position every 30 minutes, which is good, but he wants more advice. What else can he do?
Yeah, great. So you're already doing the second step. You're moving enough, you're sitting lesser, you're moving enough, you're already on your way to health. I mean, that's a huge, we should appreciate that right there. The next set of things you can do is probably start eating a healthier diet, start more flexibility exercises, start joining a gym, basically enhance your lifestyle. You're doing the bare minimum, but now it's time to start doing a little bit more.
So what's your suggestion or advice generically
regarding diet?
Regarding the diet and food?
Yeah, so diet is a subject that has gone through so many variations and beliefs and fads. Every now and then there's this diet, and there's an Atkins diet, and there's a only carnivore diet, and there is any diet that suits your need. You can just find it and you can start following it. But the truth is, the only diet that we need is the diet that has evolutionarily become important to us, that is in our surroundings, that God, or rather through evolution and through availability in the natural environment, it's there. So I'll give you an example. This is a variation of what I call the paleo diet. Anything that exists naturally is good for you. Anything that exists naturally, you can't go wrong on that front. So let's talk about sugars. Anything refined that has sugars in it doesn't exist naturally. Bread is not a natural product. We create bread. Fried items are not natural. We fry them. So these are not natural items. So when I talk about natural items, I'm talking about fruits, vegetables, milk, meats. These are all natural items. So it doesn't matter what balance of natural items you eat with respect to carbohydrate, proteins and fats. As long as you're eating a natural diet, it is very difficult to go on a calorie excessive diet. But the moment you vary from the natural diet and you say, okay, I'm going to do intermittent fasting, or I'm going to do Atkins diet, where I'm eating only fats and proteins, then your calorie intake is totally off the chart. It goes into a totally different zone, and you're trying to rig the body to lose weight via that. I do not suggest that. Don't have any fast goals. Don't try to lose weight fast. Start the natural process, start the natural diet. Understand how the human body has evolved over time, eating natural foods, searching for nuts and fruits and vegetables and rice, and occasionally having meat, and incorporate that. And you do that, and I assure you, you will slowly and steadily lose weight in what is a sustainable fashion, and which won't rebound suddenly. The problem with diet fads are that it's very easy to follow over a small period of time, and as soon as you can't follow it anymore, there's a rebound phenomena where you gain back everything that you lost during it.
And probably more.
Yeah.
And a follow-up question by Firdaus, that in this era when everything is so adulterated and so much of mixing is happening, you're not sure what is pure and what is not so pure or natural. How does one kind of follow whatever you said just now?
Why not? You can just go to the bazaar and buy local ingredients. When I say natural food, I'm talking about vegetables that are available in the market. Yes, they may not be of the highest standard, but they're definitely not going to harm you as much as junk food and fast food is. Don't worry about adulteration. Don't get into too much technical aspects of it. Today, what I see is a big problem is everyone has become a master of everything, and they practice a little bit of it. You don't want a perfect roadmap that you will walk on before you start walking. Life isn't like that. Take your first step, start sitting less. Take your second step, start moving more. Then start going to gym and exercising. Then start thinking that, okay, I've done all of this. Maybe it's time to start looking at the diet bit also. And then you'll start looking at more options. You'll start seeing everything differently. For example, if you go to a buffet and say it's someone's wedding and there's a lavish buffet spread right there, what do you eat? Do you eat the dal makhana? Do you eat the butter roti? There's also vegetables there. There's also healthy options there. There's tandoori chicken there, which is just lean meat, right? So options are always there. You have to make the right choices.
So Firdaus is asking, how do I convince my younger daughter, she's all of 10 years, don't eat so much of chips and junk food? And what exercises would you suggest for children and teenagers, because it's a very, very common problem in most of the houses?
Yeah. So exercises for a 10-year-old, a teenager, are you really asking me that question? The only exercise for her is to go out and play with her friends. That's it. She doesn't have to do anything separately. Send her out, let her make friends, let her develop a social life, a social circle of her friends, be it in the complex, be it in the para. Let her start playing with her friends. They'll run around, they'll gossip, they'll do some exercises, they'll move around. It's enough. She does not need to do any exercises. And what was the second part of that?
And how do I kind of take her habit, change her habit
from the food?
Chips, junk food to some regular food as well?
Yeah. I think a very important part of this is incentivizing children. I'm a big fan of incentives. Whenever incentives align, people end up doing the right things. They just do it naturally because it's in their benefit that they do it. If there's a reward at the end of the day, they will do it. If they're getting everything they want easily, what is the need to change anything that is comfortable? There isn't one. So maybe incentivize her to eat more healthy foods. If she holds something very precious to her, maybe you tell her that you will get access to that if you eat like this. And yes, that makes you a strict parent. That's a different style of parenting maybe than what you're used to. But trust me, over the long term, life works on an incentive basis, and that would help her.
Thank you so much once again for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Shumayou. That was absolutely wonderful to have you here and answer all these questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.